This is Mark Zuma, former voice of the Philadelphia 76ers, here to welcome you to the Sixers Standard. And now here are your hosts, Ethan Koppelman and Noah Movsowitz.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Sixers Standard Podcast. We got a great episode for you guys today. Montrezl Harell signed a 2-year deal with the Sixers. The Sixers have too many roster spots and will have to make a decision. We got trivia. We got a quote-unquote fight happening. And we got a good episode. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm doing well. Definitely, unlike last week, a busy week in the Sixers world and a lot to discuss. And a great signing for the Sixers. And I guess should we get into that first?
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Montrezl Harrell signed a 2-year, $5.6 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Ethan, how you feel?
Well, I'm kind of mixed on it. Montrezl Harrell, I do want to say about a couple years ago, used to be probably my favorite player in the NBA. He plays the game really hard, a ton of effort, a ton of motor, grabbing a ton of offensive rebounds, and he plays like a center even though he's 6'7". You know what I'm saying? Like, he plays big. So I like him in theory. Now, there's a couple of things I don't like about Montrez and a couple of fears I have with him on the Sixers. Uh, Offensively, shooting the ball, he is really inefficient. And when I've seen him play, he seems very confident in his jump shot. So I've seen him go to the fadeaway a ton of times, and it's just not a high percentage shot for him. He'll miss it a ton of the time, but that doesn't really change, the equation for him is he'll keep taking those. So, I guess what I'm kind of concerned about is when he's on the Sixers, him taking too many of those, or, Doc playing him too long, uh, you know, stuff like that. So I think it's a good signing, but there's a little bit of concern I have.
So, I like the signing. There's pros and cons to it. The pros are he has that dog mentality in him, which has probably been our number one goal this offseason, getting players who are mentally tough. He's mentally tough. Again, he's undersized, so he has to be very mentally tough and play up. I like the athleticism. 2 years ago, you kept raving about him, of being your favorite player. You're like, we need to get Montrezl Harrell on the Sixers. We need. I remember that a lot. You used to love him. But
I
now,
ask and I shall receive. And now
yep,
I don't even like him that much, but
you
he's
don't like him that much, but 2 years ago, you loved him. But the cons are he's not a good shooter. That's pretty much it. And he's a little undersized. But I think that mindset will be fine. And I like him. But I just don't like the shooting. That's all.
Another interesting thing is Daryl Morey signs another backup center that Joel Embiid had a fight with,
Yep.
which I think is very interesting. He signed Drummond after him and Drummond had a full-on fight on the court, and now he signs Montrezl Harrell, who I believe did Montrezl Harrell get ejected that game when they had a fight?
He did. I think Embiid elbowed him or something. And then they
Yeah,
ejected Harold.
yeah, that was an interesting game. I think that was around the time when everybody on the Sixers had COVID and nobody can play. Uh, but definitely an interesting thing. And my second kind of minor thought about this, I guess it's more than a minor thought that I'm not too happy about is this is going to effectively, at least for now, get B-ball Paul out of the rotation. And I'm not sure how I feel about that because every time he's had a chance to play, he's impressed. And I feel like Doc really just never gives that man the benefit of the doubt. Like, he'll play really well in the playoffs, do exactly his job, and then they'll get another guy to play over him even after he did a good job and earned that opportunity. I mean, and then you talk about Charles Bassey below him every time he's came on the court, and he really only did for like a month when he was in the rotation, but every time he played well, he impressed. So if I'm the Sixers right now, and if I'm Daryl Morey right now, the approach would be you ride with B-Ball Paul and Charles Bassey, kind of do a competition of them until February when the trade deadline is. See if one of them's good enough to be the backup center, and then if not, at that point, sign a backup center. Again, I like Harrell, but I do feel for those guys, not getting an opportunity.
I'll say this. B-Ball Paul is very athletic and he's good. But however, there have been times, and he has played well in the playoffs. He's been playing good games, but there's just sometimes he's just not playing well. And I get why the Sixers signed Harrell because he's a veteran. That's why, because I don't think they really trust B-Ball Paul. Well, actually, it's not the Sixers. It's Doc Rivers. I don't think he trusts B-Ball Paul or Charles Bassey, even though I would give them tons of opportunities if I was Doc Rivers. But obviously, I'm not Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers doesn't like young guys. He likes veterans, and I think that's why we signed Montrezl Harrell.
No, for sure. I understand that. I'm just saying that if I was in control of the Sixers, I would give those guys an opportunity. I think the thing to note about B-Ball Paul is there is a lot of veteran backup centers and very talented guys with, big resumes that cannot play playoff minutes. And B-Ball Paul came in at 23 years old, 22, played huge playoff minutes. And, the Sixers did not, he did not get played off the floor. The Sixers held their own during those minutes. I think that's the first time that when a Sixers backup center and Joel Embiid was not on the floor for a stretch of time more than like 2 minutes, that they had a that they had a positive plus minus. So all I'm saying is that maybe not Bassey, right? Maybe not Bassey because maybe Paul's above Bassey on the depth chart by now. But
He is.
right, but Paul needs to be getting that opportunity then.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes, and I'm gonna bring us into our next segment. Currently the Sixers have 17 players on the roster. That's just illegal. You have to have 15, and we gotta trim 2 people on the roster. Who are those 2 people gonna be?
Well, first of all, I like how you say illegal. What is it? Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey and Josh Harris are going to NBA jail.
Yep.
It's illegal. You're under
Yeah.
arrest. So there's 2 ways I think the Sixers can do this, right? So they need to cut down 2 people. The first thing they can do is cut 2 players. There are 4 players with not fully guaranteed salaries that I think are good prospects. It is, or there's 4 really players with not fully guaranteed salaries. It is Isaiah Joe, Paul Reed, Charles Bassey, and Trevelin Queen. So the first scenario is the Sixers cut 2 of those players. Paul is definitely safe. I think we know that for sure. I think between Joe and Bassey, it's pretty close, but it would probably be Bassey that I would protect. But at the end of the day, I don't want to cut both of them, right? At the end of the day, you don't want to cut both, Bassey and then the fourth guy, Queen, right? Because Queen, I think if you're cutting 2 players, he's gone. I don't think that he's very good. He played poorly in the summer league and he doesn't have much NBA experience. He's the clear cut number 1 to go, right? So if you're going to do the approach where you cut 2 people, you need to cut one of Paul, again, who I think is safe, Bassey or Joe. I don't think that the Sixers want to cut Charles Bassey or Isaiah Joe because even if they're not going to play them, I think they could get something for them in a trade. So, but that's one option, right? They cut 2 players. Another option is, I think, again, there's other options, but I think this is the second most likely scenario, or I guess these are tied, is that the Sixers cut Trevelin Queen, right? Because I think he's gone. And then they trade 2 players, again, this consolidation trade, right? That they trade 2 players for one other player. Because at the end of the day, I think the scenario might be more likely because I do not see the Sixers cutting Isaiah Joe or Charles Bassey. So I think it might be a 2-for-1 type deal. Maybe something insignificant. Maybe it is the Sixers trade Isaiah Joe and Charles Bassey, maybe for like another player. Or again, a third scenario is they trade 2 players for picks, right?
Yeah. So Trevor Queen, he's getting cut. I don't think there's any large reason that he's not getting cut.
He's not getting minutes. He's not going to get minutes.
He's just not a good player. He's getting cut. There's no question about that. But however, the second candidate, I honestly think I'd rather protect Joe than Bassey.
Really?
Because I like Joe a lot. I like his shot. I don't know. I like Bassey as well. But then again, we have B-Ball Paul. So like I don't know if we can have Joel, B-Ball Paul, and Bassey. I think we should cut Bassey and Queen. That's what I would do.
Can I explain
or trade Bassey for like just picks. I don't care.
I don't mind trading Bassey, but I wouldn't want to cut him. My thinking here is that Joe's been on the Sixers for 2 years, and from the first to the second year, he hasn't improved. Quite simply. If anything, his shooting has gone down. The percentage wasn't up there. Again, I like the shot, but in high volume, again, he can shoot it from deep, but he hasn't really shot at a high clip from three, and he hasn't gained any weight either. A lot of times you like defensively, Isaiah Joe tries, you know what I'm saying? There's some players that cannot be said for, but at the same time, like he's gotten played off the court defensively before. So to me, unless to me, Isaiah Joe's ceiling really is like Seth Curry. That's kind of like the ceiling comp for him. The floor comp for me is out of the league because again, I don't think his defense is ever gonna, hold up. And if the shot doesn't come, then, he doesn't really become Seth Curry.
This is a fun fact. Isaiah Joe is 6'4" and he weighs 165 pounds.
That's exactly to my point.
165
That's what I
pounds.
said. He gets played
But,
off the
like,
court because he
but-
hasn't gained any weight. That's what I'm
But
saying.
here's the thing. I don't want him to overload the backup center spot. I think if we have, so say right now we have Embiid, who's going to be the starter. We have Harold, B-Ball Paul, and we have Bassey. I just can't have three backup centers. Like that's just my opinion. Like you can't have three backup centers. You don't. I think the maximum is two. You just can't have three. I think we trade Bassey.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I just don't think it would be good to cut Bassey. And this is why I'm saying
I
with
said
the Harrell.
trade.
This is why I'm saying with the Harrell signing that I think we should have waited until the trade deadline to do something. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think four backup centers is a lot, but we also have a lot of depth at the wing position. So it's not like we don't have that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see how it pans out. At the end of the day, I think we could both agree that a trade would be more beneficial to get, even if it's second round picks, a couple picks added to the team. But
yeah,
17 is too many. I don't think Trevor and Queen's sticking. That's all I know.
No, I think that's guaranteed he's not sticking. I don't think that's a debate.
Unless Joel really, really likes him and says, I'm leaving the team unless Trevor Queen is on this roster.
Yeah.
I do not think that he is sticking. That's my theory.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna move on. So our next segment is trivia. Our question today is first of all, before I say the question, follow the Sixers Standard on Instagram for answers. We had I think Jonah Sicker, he got the right answer. Congrats to him. All right, now the question. Which Sixers player had their phone out during a playoff game? I'm going to repeat it again. Which Sixers player had their phone out during a playoff game? Follow the Sixers Standard on Instagram, and we will post and just comment below what you think the answer is.
And I do want to clarify, we will not post the answer on the Sixers Standard. We'll have the answer on the next podcast, but put your answer down on the Sixers Standard Instagram, and then you can get a shout out just like Jonah did for this episode.
Yep. All right. So, our final segment, tidbits. Ethan, I'm going to have you explain, but I'll give you the topic. Furkan Korkmaz got into a massive brawl. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, he did. So Furkan Korkmaz was playing, I believe, like some kind of international basketball game.
The ones that Luka, Jokic, and Giannis are playing in.
Called like FIBA or something?
Yeah, FIBA.
Right.
Yeah, FIBA.
So he's playing in one of those games for Turkey in the country of Georgia. Not like the state Georgia, like where the Braves play. Or the Hawks. Like the country Georgia. It's some like European country. And they're playing Turkey in a game. And then Furkan Korkmaz, and another player like kind of get up close and personal on the court. And then I think Furkan Korkmaz gets ejected. And when he's walking into the tunnel, two players from the Georgia team start chasing after him and attack him. And they get into a fight like in the tunnel to the locker room. And apparently security had to separate them, or I think he said the security wasn't like present enough there. So a scary situation for Furkan, and he was saying that like, yeah, trash talk on the court, have that on the court. But, once that comes off the court, when I come back to the locker room, that has to stop. And, I don't think you can really disagree with that.
Yeah. So apparently there were 30 police officers that were trying to break up the fight. That's how big the fight was. So Furkan got into a fight with a Georgia player. They like touch heads and all that, and then fans started throwing cups onto the courts.
I saw that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
And then Furk gets ejected, and then they go to the locker room, and then these two players are just, as you said, are chasing Korkmaz, and then like 30 police officers just show up and just try to break up the fight. Like it was, I'm not even gonna call it a fight. I'm gonna call it a brawl. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm gonna say is that and Furkan's okay, and that's great. He's in good shape. But this season Furkan has to be an enforcer. He has to be Mike Scott 2.0.
Yeah.
Anytime some player celebrates from the other team, Furkan has to get in their face.
Yeah, get in their face. Talk trash. Get under their skin. That's what he's got to do.
We got to know. We need other teams to know that the Sixers are not to be messed with.
Yeah, we're not soft. We're not soft. We ain't soft. All right, anything else, Ethan?
I don't think so. Next, so when does season start? Because it feels like this off season has gone on forever. It's like I think we still got another month, right? Don't we?
Yeah, you got another month. I think October 12th or somewhere around that date will be our first game against the Boston Celtics.
That is October 18th, correct?
Or October. That's even more than a month. That's like a month and like 5 days or something.
So
6 days.
We'll start preseason on October 3rd. That will be against the Brooklyn Nets, so we'll get some basketball to watch then. But
hopefully
until October,
hopefully Benjamin shows up.
First of all, but before we go, because I do think this is important. I don't even know if Simmons is going to play in that October 20 whatever. The November 20 whatever game before Thanksgiving. There is no way he's playing in the preseason game. There's just no way.
It would just be funny.
I don't think it's happening because this man always has a different excuse. There's always something going on.
My back hurts. Oh my god.
My mental health. Oh, my back hurts. Oh,
I can't shoot. I can't shoot free throws.
My arm's sore. There's always something with this guy. I mean, the game's in Brooklyn, which I guess gives it a higher possibility of happening. But at the same time, like, Brooklyn fans suck. So, like, if there's a Sixers game in Brooklyn, like, it's going to feel like a Philly crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these Sixers, it's going to be 75% Sixers fans because all of them are going to want to, like, boo Ben and make him feel unwelcome even in his own city. I mean, come on, think about it. Like, Brooklyn and New York City in general, it's not a basketball town. And I know New York City's big, but, like, there's that video of, like, Ben at the U.S. Open and, like, everybody just starts booing him.
Yeah. Even New York doesn't like him.
In his own town.
Well, I do think the Knicks fan base is probably 1,000 times bigger, and they're probably all Knicks fans at the U.S. Open. Brooklyn has no fans. I'm telling you, they have nobody. It's all the Knicks conquer the fan base, but Brooklyn conquers the basketball.
What do you mean by that?
Is that there's just way more Knicks fans in New York. When they got booed at the U.S. Open,
right?
They were probably all Knicks fans. Like, why would Brooklyn fans boo him unless if they want him to get traded? Which you never know. Never know. He might be getting traded. He might be out of the league. He might never play a game again. There's so many what ifs about him. So many question marks on that guy's name.
I mean, all I'm saying is my point is, like, Knicks fans are not, like, to get booed in your own city, like, 10 miles away from where you play, that shouldn't happen. Like, it's not just not just a Sixers thing. It's an everybody thing. Like, maybe not even the Nets fans, but it's all the NBA fans except for some loyal Nets fans, which you would be hard pressed to find one because again, Nets fans, it's a horrible fan base. Always was. It's not really their fault. They moved from New Jersey. Like, Brooklyn is not a basketball city and hadn't been a basketball city until 10 years ago.
Yeah. But anyways, before we leave, we got there's some big things happening in Philly tomorrow, or maybe Detroit, Michigan. The Philadelphia Eagles, Week 1 game against the Detroit Lions. I just want to shout out because fly, Eagles, fly, and yeah.
Quick predictions. Any quick Eagles, segment?
I think the Eagles will win, and Jalen Hurts will throw 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions were on their little NFL show thing. They had their reality TV time.
Hard
This
knocks.
is Eagles Sunday. Yeah. This is Eagles Sunday. We're not gonna mess around. We're gonna take care of business. And if we don't take care of business, then we might come on here next week and be a little bit concerned because it's the Lions.
Darius Slay returning to Detroit. His return game. He better have a good game in this return.
I don't think he'll need to.
Yeah. It's just big play Slay. That's what they call him. But anyways, thank you guys for watching the Sixers Standard Podcast. I am Noah Moskowitz with Ethan Koppelman. We'll see you guys next episode.